Alright, so I know I just made a lengthy video on Unus Annus, so what gives with this one? Well, I'd been working on that video for quite a while, so the Memento Mori commemoration came out at a time when I was already into the editing phase of the universal impact of Unus Annus. If you haven't seen that one yet and are going into this video with blind eyes, then I suggest you give the first one a watch, since I won't be going into depth about the various aspects, explanations and nuances of Unus Annus. Rather, I just wanted to discuss the anniversary video specifically, and that's what you'll be finding here. Got it? Good? Great. Without further ado, join me as we discuss the sadness of Memento Mori. Despite already having released an anniversary video a year before, I still wasn't expecting anything to come about on their death anniversary this time around. Mostly because I'd assumed that Mark and Ethan had moved on by this point, that they'd said all that they'd wanted to and needed to. The fans would be the ones mourning it. But why would they? After all, Unus Annus isn't the first time the community of these two YouTubers has clung on to something so dearly even years after its initial inception. So it wouldn't be unusual for any type of content creator to move on to other things while the fan base reminisces about. And I didn't even have this presumption in a negative sense. With how many other projects both Mark and Ethan have accomplished and worked on since Unus Annus came to a close, I had genuinely just thought it was a chapter that had just ended for them. It's become routine at this point for these two to completely change the YouTube landscape with projects of great importance and then, as one would, start looking towards the future with newer and bolder ideas already in mind. So, when I got the notification for two videos that had just been posted labeled Memento and Mori, not only was I caught off guard, but intrigued with the joint titling of these videos. I knew I was in for a treat when I opened one of them and saw how there was apparently a one-sided conversation happening. Immediately, I opened the other on a secondary tab and then gazed in awe. I'll try my best to summarize just why this video is so special, so bear with me here. Firstly, it's the obvious. The idea of having a two-way conversation separated into two different videos on two channels is not only brilliant but just poetic. In order to get the full context, you need to have both segments be playing at the same time, which is just synonymous with the concept that Unus Annus was what it was because of Ethan and Mark. They and their characters are what made it whole. At the end of the day, there'll always be opposite aspects of the spiral that reflect the other in themselves. The fact that Amy can be heard in both videos just elevates the concept since she was the glue that held them and everything else together. She was equally present for both parts and was the split between the spiral of Unus Annus. A mere stylistic choice went as far as to portray what we already know without making it annoyingly obvious, and that's so very beautiful. Secondly, the contents of the conversation itself are no short of heartwarming either. There's a huge shift in the atmosphere from the previous year's anniversary. It's much more light-hearted. And no, it isn't a scripted or predetermined tonal shift meant to highlight some intentional thematic moment. To be honest, it's just life and the progression of it. As said by Mark in the aforementioned previous anniversary,
and I think it took a year of reflecting to get to the point where I really appreciated every part of it.
The words imparted by him and Ethan were much more somber in nature, as it would be for anyone experiencing a loss still new. A year later, sure, but then again it lasted for an entire year as well. Though not intentional as previously stated, a powerful message was still brought to the surface anyway, and it was regarding the passage of time. It's something universal that any individual experiences. As the saying goes, you don't really know how good you have it until it's gone. And though that was what Mark and Ethan had set out to emphasize as well, I don't think they realized how the same was so much truer for them. They were the channel. They are the most connected to it out of anyone. You look back at the most memorable moments you hold dear with more and more fondness as the years grow distant and the picture fades ever so slightly. It lives on with you, and so you shape it to be even greater than it would have been in the moment. And that's why Mark and Ethan seem so much more joyful after 2 years rather than one. Unus Annus really is fading away from YouTube history, becoming a myth like how they put it themselves. It's in the past, and when looking back on it, all that really matters are the fun times shared between the three of them. It was grueling work, but it was worth it. In fact, a fourth lesson that I believe is a great addition to my original video is the sad fact that the number of people who experienced Unus Annus throughout its duration can only ever decrease now. The liberty to go straight to the channel and see it all there, of living the countdown in real time, feeling its weight and having the community to interact with, it's all gone. Looking back to before the end can never and will never be the same. It shouldn't be. You can take that as being cynical, sure, but there's a hidden beauty to this reality. Eventually, with time, Unus Annus will really become an internet legend. And when that time comes to pass, the memories of it would have faded, yes, but not erased. Our retelling of events that had transpired on that channel would be all that keep the candle ablaze. And even if all those that had been there at that moment for that channel were to just disappear, Unus Annus wouldn't. What we hold special to ourselves eventually becomes a part of ourselves. And when we put it out into the world, it too remains forever. This could be a stupid TikTok you posted that had gone viral, or a draft of a book that only your friends read. Regardless of whatever form of medium you communicate through, even if it just be words, or your feelings, or your emotions, it's real, it exists. And it is worth the space that it occupies both mentally or physically. If it wasn't worth it, then there would have never been a space for it to occupy in the first place. What made Unus Annus special was the time it had and the people who gave it. But how is that any different from any one of us? The Memento Mori of this year felt exactly like what I've described. And that's why it's now one of my favorite videos on this platform. In the post-mortem video, Mark had said
that the entirety of what something is cannot be truly appreciated until it ends.
And now 2 years later, it couldn't be truer than ever. If you've enjoyed this video, then please do consider subscribing and leaving a comment down below. I loved reading everything that you had to say on my Unus Annus video, hearing everyone's experiences with it. And if there's something you want to share now too, go for it. In the meantime though, here are 2 videos that the algorithm thinks that you'd like. Give them a shot, you won't regret it. Until next time though, this has been Vexodus, and see ya.